Welcome everyone to our annual MUI UI compliance training. I'm Ashley Brocious, CEO. Today we're going to walk through one of the most important areas of our work, which is Rule 5123-17-02, also known as MUI Major Unusual Incidents and UI Unusual Incidents. This training is part of our annual compliance series, but more importantly, it's about something much bigger than compliance. It's about protecting the health, the safety, and the rights of the individuals that we serve. You'll see that our guiding principle highlighted here, zero preventable harm, that's not just a phrase, it's the expectation that drives every decision that we make in the moment, every report that we complete, and every follow-up action that we take. Throughout this training, we're going to cover how to identify incidents correctly, what needs to be reported and when, the basics of investigation and documentation, and most importantly, how we use the incidents to prevent future harm. As direct support professionals, you are the front line. You are the eyes and the ears that ensure that individuals are safe, supported, and respected every day. And when something does happen, because something will happen, your response makes all the difference. So let's get started. Before we jump in, I want to walk you through what we'll be covering today so you know exactly what to expect. This training is designed to give you a complete understanding of the rule, but more importantly, how it applies to your day-to-day work. We'll start with the purpose and philosophy, really grounding ourselves in why we do this work. This isn't about punishment, it's about using incidents as a tool to improve safety and outcomes. From there, we'll talk about why detailed reporting matters, how it protects not only the individual we serve, but also you as staff. We'll review your role as a mandated reporter, which is a legally responsibility for all DSPs. And then we're going to move into definitions, making sure that you can clearly distinguish between major unusual incidents and unusual incidents. Once we have that foundation, we'll break down the MUI classifications with categories A, B, and C, so you know exactly what falls into each group. We'll also cover unusual incidents, what needs to be logged, and how those are reviewed. A big focus will be on timelines and procedures, because in this work, when you act is just as important as what you do. We'll go over documentation standards to make sure that reports are clear, objective, and defensible. And then we'll shift into response hierarchy, what to do first in the moment, always prioritizing immediate health and safety. And then after that, we'll walk through the investigative process, so you understand what happens after an incident is reported and how prevention plans are developed. We'll also touch on trend analysis, because incidents aren't just one-time events. We use them to identify patterns and improve the system. You'll have a chance to apply everything through scenario-based practice, which is where it really starts to click. We'll review our agency-specific policy, including internal expectations and contacts, and then wrap up with a summary and key takeaways. So now let's start with the foundation, why we report incidents in the first place. I want to be very clear about this up front. Incident reporting is not about getting someone in trouble. It is a safety tool, not a punishment tool. When something happens, our focus is not who can we blame. Our focus is what happened, why did it happen, and how do we prevent it from happening again. That's where protection and transparency come in. Reporting ensures that the individuals that we support are safe, their rights are protected, and that there is accountability, not just internally, but with guardians and oversight agencies as well. It also creates a consistent system. Across the state, everyone is following the same structure for identifying, reporting, and investigating incidents. That consistency matters because it ensures fairness, clarity, and proper follow-through. Another key piece is risk reduction. Every report gives us information, and that information helps us identify patterns, understand root causes, and put prevention plans in place so the same issue hopefully doesn't happen again. And ultimately, all of this leads to continuous improvement. We are always learning, always adjusting, and always working towards better outcomes. At the end of the day, this all ties back to our guiding principle, zero preventable harm. That means if something can be prevented, we have a responsibility to learn from it and make changes. So when you think about reporting, I want you to shift your mindset from this is paperwork to this is how we keep people safe. Reporting serves four critical purposes, and understanding these helps shift our mindset from fear to responsibility. First is prevention. Detailed reporting allows us to see patterns that we would otherwise miss. One incident by itself might seem isolated, but when we track data over time by location, shift, staff assignment, medication timing, or even behavioral triggers, patterns start to emerge. These patterns allow us to intervene early. Maybe it's an environmental hazard. Maybe it's a staffing issue. Maybe it's someone's health condition has changed. Without detailed reports, we are simply guessing. With detailed reports, we can prevent repeat incidents and reduce risk before something more serious happens. Second is transparency. Families, guardians, county boards, and the state rely on accurate information. They trust us to be honest and thorough. Transparency builds credibility, and when we report consistently and objectively, we demonstrate integrity. Even difficult situations can be managed well when communication is clear and timely. Transparency strengthens trust, and trust is the foundation for this field. Third is protection. Objective documentation protects the individuals we serve, and it protects you as a professional. Your documentation becomes the legal record of what occurred and how you responded. If questions arise later, your report shows that you acted appropriately, promptly, and professionally. Clear documentation can be the difference between clarity and confusion months down the road. Fourth is legal compliance. Reporting is not optional. It is required under the Ohio Administrative Code 5123-17-02. The timelines are 4 hours, 24 hours, and the next working day by 3 p.m., which are regulatory mandates. Following them ensures that we remain in compliance as an agency and as licensed professionals. Compliance protects our certification, our funding, and our ability to continue serving individuals. And I really want to emphasize this. This process is not about blame. It's not about punishment. It's about safety, accountability, and continuous improvement. When we report correctly, we strengthen the system, and when the system is strong, the people that we support are safer. Every direct support professional, regardless of your title, shift, tenure, or level of experience, is a mandated reporter under Ohio law. This is not limited to supervisors, it is not limited to nurses, and it is not limited to management. If you are employed in this system and you observe, suspect, or become aware of a potential major unusual incident, you have a personal legal obligation to report it. What does that mean in practice? First, you must report suspected MUIs immediately. Notice the word suspected. You are not required to investigate. You are not required to confirm. You are not required to prove anything. If something seems concerning, unsafe, or inconsistent, you report it. Administration determines the classification. Your role is recognition and notification. Second, reporting in good faith protects you. If you report something because you genuinely believe that it may be an MUI, you are protected from retaliation under the rule. Even if the investigation later determines that it was not an MUI, you did the right thing by reporting it. The system supports staff who act in good faith to protect individuals. Third, failing to report is a serious violation. Failure to report can result in disciplinary action up to and including termination. It may also carry legal consequences under state law as well. Choosing not to report or waiting too long to report puts individuals at risk and exposes you personally and professionally. And this is important. Silence can cause more harm than mistakes in reporting. So remember the guiding principle. When in doubt, report it out. It's always better to over-report and allow leadership to determine classification than to under-report and allow a serious issue to go unaddressed. Your voice is often the first safeguard in protecting someone from harm, and that responsibility matters. So let's slow this down and clearly define the difference between MUIs and UIs, because understanding this distinction is critical to responding correctly. An MUI is also known as a major unusual incident, and they are incidents that pose a significant risk to the health, safety, and welfare of the individual. These are high-risk events. They may involve abuse, neglect, exploitation, serious injury, medical emergencies, missing persons, or other situations that create immediate concern. MUIs require immediate action to ensure the safety, notification within 4 hours of discovery, a formal investigation, external oversight from the county board or the state. When an MUI occurs, the response is urgent and structured. There is administrative review, documentation, and a preventative plan developed to reduce reoccurrence. Now let's contrast with the UI, which is also known as an unusual incident. UIs are events that are inconsistent with routine operations but do not present a significant immediate risk to health and safety. So some examples might include a minor fall without injury, a medication error that poses no health risk, property damage, a behavioral episode that are addressed appropriately. But UIs still matter. They must be reported within 24 hours, logged properly, and reviewed monthly. While they may not trigger a formal investigation, they are tracked carefully for patterns. Because here's the key. Small incidents, when repeated, can become major risk. So think of it this way. An MUI equals an immediate danger or high risk. An act urgently. A UI, monitor and track it, identify patterns before they escalate. If you're ever unsure which category something falls into, do not delay reporting while you try to decide. Report it immediately and then allow the supervisor or administration to determine the classification. Your responsibility is recognition and notification, not categorization. The safest response is always timely reporting. MUIs are further divided into 3 categories: A, B, and C. Understanding these categories helps you recognize the severity and respond appropriately. So let's break them down. So category A is in regards to an alleged perpetrator act. This could be a coworker, a staff person, a family member, or someone else from the community. Category A incidents involve actions committed by an alleged perpetrator against an individual served. These are the most serious because they involve a potential breach of trust or professional duty. Examples would include physical, verbal, or sexual abuse, neglect, meaning failure to provide the necessary care, exploitation, which is unlawful or improper use of someone's resources, misappropriation, a theft that's typically over $20, failure to report, prohibited sexual relations. These incidents require immediate protective action. So safety comes first and reporting must occur within the 4-hour window of notification. Category A incidents trigger formal investigations and external oversight. These are a zero-tolerance situation, and several of them actually require us to make a report with the local police department as well. Now let's take a look at Category B, which are known for serious health and safety events. Category B incidents may not involve the wrongdoing by another person, but they involve significant risk to health or life. Examples included would be medical emergencies requiring life-saving measures, a significant injury such as fractures or serious burns, attempted suicide, a missing individual, non-accidental death. These situations are urgent because of the severity of harm or potential harm. The focus here is immediate medical response, stabilization, and then reporting. These incidents also require a formal investigation. And finally, Category C, which is a system level or external involvement. Category C incidents often involve outside authorities or a higher level review. Examples include law enforcement involvement, unanticipated hospitalization, which typically starts as longer than 48 hours, unapproved behavioral supports such as improper restraints. They may not always be crisis level in the moment, but they do require administrative review to ensure that policies are followed and safeguards are in place. Now here's the most important part. You are not expected to be the classification expert. If you are unsure which category an incident falls into, do not delay reporting when trying to categorize it. Report it immediately. Administration and compliance staff will then determine whether it's a category A, B, or C. Your responsibility is recognition and immediate notification. Timely reporting protects the individual. Delayed reporting increases the risk. When safety is involved, speed matters more than the perfect categorization. Let's talk a little bit more about unusual incidents, also known as UIs. UIs include events that are outside routine operations, but do not pose an immediate significant risk to health and safety. Examples included are a minor fall without injury, the medication error that does not create health risk, property damage, behavioral episodes that are managed safely. These must be reported within 24 hours and logged appropriately. Now you might ask, if they're minor, why do they matter so much? Because patterns matter. One small fall may not mean anything, but 5 falls in the same hallway, that's likely an environmental hazard. 3 medication errors on the same shift, that may signal a systems issue. Repeated behavioral escalations at the same time of day, that could indicate a trigger that we haven't addressed. UIs are early warning systems. We track them, we trend them, we analyze them. Because preventing escalation is always better than responding to crisis. Timelines are critical. This process follows a specific sequence and each step matters. Step 1, ensure the safety. Before anything else, protect the individual. Assess medical needs, stabilize the situation, call 911 if needed. Paperwork never comes before a person's safety. Step 2, for MUIs, notify within 4 hours. This can be verbal or email per policy, but it must happen within that time frame from discovery, not by the end of your shift. Step 3, submit the written report by 3 p.m. the next working day. This is a firm deadline, not end of shift, not 24 hours later, by 3 p.m. the next working day. Step 4, ensure that county boards, guardians, and providers are notified as required. Transparency is part of the rule. Step 5, log UIs within 24 hours and ensure that they are included in the monthly review. These timelines are not flexible. They are regulatory requirements, and missing them places the agency and potentially you out of compliance. Timeliness protects everyone involved. Now let's talk about documentation, because quality documentation is everything. Your report must be objective. Only document what you directly saw, heard, or did. No assumptions, no opinions, and no conclusions. Detailed. Include the 5 W's. Who was involved? What happened? Where did it occur? When did it happen? And how did it occur? Accurate. Include exact times, full names, detailed injury descriptions such as size, color, and location. Use direct quotes whenever possible. If someone says something important, place it in quotation marks. For medication events, include medication name, dosage, route, scheduled time, actual time given, and specific type of error. If you make a mistake in documentation, draw a single line through it, initial and date. Never use whiteout or scribble over information. And remember the golden rule. If it's not documented, it didn't happen. Your documentation becomes the legal record of care provided. It protects the individual, it protects the agency, and it protects you. When an incident occurs, follow this order every time. First, ensure safety. Stabilize the individual, address medical needs immediately. Second, protect the environment, remove hazards. Separate individuals if necessary and secure the area. Third, notify the required parties. Supervisor, the county board, the guardian, the provider. Follow the chain of communication. 4, document thoroughly. Record everything accurately and promptly. This hierarchy is intentional, and safety always comes before paperwork, but documentation must always follow. So as I stated earlier, not all MUIs are handled the same way, but all of them do require follow-up. Category A and Category B incidents require an administrative investigation. That means a formal investigative process takes place. An investigative agent gathers information, reviews documentation, interviews witnesses if necessary, and evaluates the evidence. Category A investigations are especially detailed because they often involve allegations such as abuse, neglect, exploitation, or failure to report. These investigations determine findings based on a preponderance of evidence, meaning it is more likely than not that the incident occurred. Category B investigations also involve reviewing documentation and circumstances, but the focus is often on medical events, significant injuries, or safety concerns, rather than the allegations of wrongdoing. Now, Category C incidents require an administrative review form, but not a full investigation. That review still looks at what happened and whether appropriate supports were in place, but it is a more streamlined process. Regardless of the category, investigations and reviews must be initiated within required timeframes. These timelines are set by rule and must be followed. Delays can result in compliance issues. And here is the most important part. The purpose of the investigation or the review is not to assign blame. The focus is on identifying causes, identifying contributing factors, and developing a prevention plan. And then we ask, what led to this? Were supervision levels appropriate? Was the service plan followed? Were there system issues? Every investigation should result in learning and prevention. Again, the goal is not punishment. The goal is reducing risk and protecting individuals moving forward. So now let's zoom out and look at the bigger picture. Trend analysis and quality improvement. Incident reporting isn't just about handling one situation at a time. It's about looking at patterns over time. Providers are required to complete an annual trends analysis report. This means that we take all the data from UIs and MUIs and review it as a whole. We don't just look at one incident, we look at the full year. We compare data across prior years and ask, are incidents increasing? Are certain types decreasing? Are we seeing new patterns emerge? This helps us move from reacting to incidents to proactively improving supports. We also identify patterns by individual, residence, program, time of day, and type of incident. For example, if one individual has repeated falls, we may need to reassess supervision or mobility supports. If one home has multiple medication errors, we may need additional staff or process changes. If peer-to-peer incidents are happening during a certain shift, we may need to evaluate staffing patterns. Trend analysis helps us see what we might miss when looking at incidents individually. Once patterns are identified, we implement action plans to reduce reoccurrence. And that might include additional training, environmental changes, policy updates, increased supervision, and service plan modifications. This is what continuous quality improvement looks like. We're not just documenting problems, we're using information to strengthen our systems and reduce preventable harm. Remember, data isn't about blame, it's about improvement. The goal isn't perfection, the goal is progress and safer supports year after year. Let's apply what we've learned. You discover a large, unexplained bruise on an individual's upper arm, and when you ask them about it, they withdraw and appear fearful. What do? First, you ensure safety. You assess whether they need medical attention. Second, determine if there are immediate risks in the environment. Third, report immediately. This is likely an MUI due to an unexplained injury and behavioral response. 4. Document objectively. Describe the bruise's size, the color, and location, the exact time you discovered it, the individual's precise reaction, and any direct quotes. Do not assume cause, do not speculate, and do not insert opinion. Unexplained injuries combined with fear responses may indicate larger concerns. This is exactly why immediate reporting exists. Our internal policy, Policy 020, aligns fully with the Rule 5123-17-02. First and always, health and safety come first. If an incident occurs, your immediate responsibility is to ensure the individual is safe, and that may mean providing first aid, calling 911, removing a hazard, or increasing supervision. Safety always comes before paperwork. Once safety is addressed, the next step would be notification. If the incident is a major unusual incident, you must notify your supervisor or management immediately. Do not wait until the end of the day. Do not investigate it yourself, and do not assume that someone else has already reported it. For unusual incidents, follow our agency policy. UIs must be reported within 24 hours. Next, timely written documentation. You must complete the RT incident report form. For MUIs, the written report is due by 3 p.m. the next working day. For UIs, documentation must be completed within 24 hours. Timelines matter. Late documentation can create compliance issues, even if the care provided was appropriate. Now let's talk about what must be included in the report. Incident reports must clearly document the individual's identifying information, the date, time, and location. A detailed description of what happened, who, what, when, where, and how. The incident type. Immediate actions taken. Description of injuries, if any. Medication details, if applicable. Witnesses and attached statements. Notifications made. Cause and contributing factors. Preventative measures. Your documentation must be objective and factual. Avoid opinions or assumptions and stick to what you saw, heard, or were told. Remember, if it's not documented, it didn't happen. Next, required notifications. Guardians or identified contacts must be notified the same day unless doing so would jeopardize safety. The SSA must be notified, and the county board must be notified for MUIs according to rule. Law enforcement or children's services must be contacted when required, and every notification attempt must be documented, including date, time, method, and outcome. Staff are also required to cooperate with investigations. If an administrative investigation occurs, you must provide honest, factual information and any requested documentation. Finally, record retention and compliance. Incident reports are official records, and they may be reviewed during county board audits, Department of Developmental Disability reviews, or internal quality assurance checks. Complete, accurate documentation protects the individual, you, your coworkers, and the agency. RT's incident reporting process exists to promote safety, accountability, and prevention. All right, let's wrap everything up with our key takeaways. First, under philosophy and definitions. Remember, incident reporting is not about getting someone in trouble. It's a tool for protection for the individuals that we support and for you as staff. You should feel confident knowing the difference between an MUI and a UI, and that MUIs fall into 3 separate categories, A, B, and C, which determine how they are handled. Next are the critical timelines. This is one of the most important areas for compliance. MUI notifications must happen immediately within 4 hours. The written report is due by 3 p.m. the next working day. And UIs must be documented within 24 hours and tracked for review. Missing timelines is one of the most common compliance issues, so this is critical to make sure we get it right. Now, response and documentation. Always follow the hierarchy. Ensure safety first, call 911 if needed. Then protect the individual, notify the appropriate people, and document everything. When you document, make sure you stick to the facts, no opinions. Be clear and detailed, because if it's not documented, it didn't happen. And also remember, cooperation is required. You may be part of an investigation and your input matters. Finally, prevention and trends. Incident reporting isn't just about reacting, it's about improving. We use reports to build prevention plans, and we analyze data to identify patterns and risk. And then the ultimate goal is simple: zero preventable harm. So if you take anything away from the training, let it be this: act quickly, report accurately, and when in doubt, report it. That's how we keep people safe and stay compliant. I am here to support you, and your supervisors are here to support you. If you're unsure, ask. If you're uncertain, report. And if you need help, call. There's no wrong question when it comes to safety. The only mistake is silence when someone may be at risk. Thank you for the work that you do every day. Your role as a DSP matters. Your documentation matters. And your vigilance matters. And when in doubt, report.